Gremlins was written by Chris Columbus and directed by Joe Dante and stars Zach Galligan as a young man who receives a new pet for Christmas from his father, a mogwai named Gizmo, but all hell breaks loose when the three strict rules of caring for a mogwai are not met. I saw this movie at a local movie theater that was showing it for its 40th anniversary. I've seen this movie dozens of times, so you don't need me to tell you that this movie is awesome. But seeing it in a movie theater made the experience better than it has ever been. One observation I had while watching the film this time around: does anyone else think that the main street in this movie looks just like the main street in Hill Valley from Back to the Future? The street that Billy walks down when he's trying to solve the gremlin problem looks just like the street that Marty drives down when he returns to 1985. Maybe that's just me, I'm not sure. Howie Mandel voices Gizmo, and we all love how adorable, smart, and nice he is. He is a great character that stands right up there with E.T. as far as childhood wonders go. I first saw this movie when I was 5, and it blew me away. But needless to say, this movie has some darker material that probably isn't for children as young as I was. I personally think that the true stars of this movie here, this time that I watched it, are Frank Welker as Stripe, who also voiced Megatron in the Transformers.
Why throw away your life so recklessly?
That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron.
No! I'll crush you with my bare hands!
He does a wonderful job of creating this menacing monster that just loves chaos. The other true star for me is the great Dick Miller as Mr. Futterman. He was such a great supporting actor for 80s horror films such as Chopping Mall, The Howling, and The Terminator. It's always such a pleasure to see any movie he's in. He plays a bitter and unemployed working man because of this terrible Mrs. Deagle that laid him off or shut down his business or whatever it was, and he hates anything that is not American made. Yes, he represents a lot of the middle class men of the 80s or something. Regardless, he's still great. The music is by the great Jerry Goldsmith, who created a theme song that is iconic for any kid raised in the 80s and 90s. One thing that I love so much is that it is a horror movie, but is also parodying older horror movies while doing it. I got vibes of The Blob from 1958 during the part where they blow up the movie theater, for example. Another thing I love about it is how well it still holds up visually. The Gremlins look so real, except for one scene after Stripe jumps in the swimming pool and he leads hundreds of gremlins through a street. That looked dated, but any close-ups of the gremlins look just flat out amazing. They look better than most movie creatures I've seen for the last number of years in movies, and that's because they were real. The only thing with the special effects I scratch my head about is that they use multiple Gizmo puppets for this movie, and sometimes he doesn't look as long-haired as he does in other shots, so you can tell that it's not the same Gizmo, but I'm so trapped in the magic of the movie that it doesn't really bother me at all. I guess if I had to be critical, which I guess is the whole point of this channel, I would say that a lot of creative liberty was taken regarding the rules of the Mogwai. For example, it says don't get them wet because it causes them to reproduce. Okay, fair enough. But once the gremlins are on the loose and running around the town, they are walking in and around the snow. Isn't snow water? Wouldn't it just melt under their skin and cause them to reproduce more? There's a point where you see Stripe sticking his head up from a snowbank and he dives back in after laughing. Wouldn't he have given birth to like dozens more by being in the snow? Maybe I'm just being too scientific with this one, I'm not sure. They're also pretty liberal with the bright light rule because the lamps, Christmas tree, and fireplace all emit bright enough for everyone to see. Wouldn't that cause Gizmo pain as well? While I'm at it, why was every light in the kitchen on during the daytime when Billy went in there? That's just a strange observation for me. The scene where the mom kills 3 of the gremlins, and even more so the ending, is pretty gross. So of course it upset a lot of parents when the movie came out, and this, along with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, helped create the PG-13 rating. It's just too bad that the MPAA has been a joke for decades and decades, but I digress. This is one of the defining films of the 80s, so there really isn't much more I can say about it, except to say that I think that its sequel is supremely underrated. I know it has been reevaluated in recent years, but I have always loved Gremlins 2 as much as the original. I would like to review it sometime. I also call BS on the fact that they took out the original poster, or they edited the original poster for Gremlins 2 by taking the cigar out of his fingers. That is really stupid. I liked it the original way. I obviously give Gremlins an A+ or 4 stars out of 4. If you get a chance to see this in the theater, please do yourself a favor and do it. It's awesome to watch at home, but seeing these monsters just want to have a party is worth it on the big screen. Thanks so much for watching. We also review new movies, horror movies every Friday, and silent films every Sunday. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. And until next time, I am Ghost.